guys have
Definitely
fun.
big help.
Very good seeing you.
Yeah, you too.
Don't be a
I
stranger.
leave May 19th.
For
You know, how long are you gone for again?
About 3 weeks.
Okay, well we're going out to Scranton, my hometown, same day, May 19th as well. So we're gonna be gone for a week, but then we'll be back for 2 weeks before you get back. But
Okay.
yeah, give us a shout when you get back in town.
Sounds good.
We're gonna hopefully do a podcast with one of our other roommates and former players.
Okay.
So you'll upload that, Dave Costa, which is good.
Good.
I'm also doing I'm doing public speaking now.
To who?
Fucking the Wisconsin Alumni Association.
Oh, fun.
I have to do. I'm the
You
guest.
get paid?
I'm the guest speaker.
But you don't get paid?
Because the lady asked me, she's a friend, and they're kind of they're out of options. So I was below the bottom of the barrel.
Well,
And
now you're at the top.
I don't speak well, so
Now you're at the top.
it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I'll be
Good luck.
sweating, stuttering.
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
I believe in you.
Hey, those tires are sitting in my garage, so if you want them, fucking.
When I get home tonight, I'm gonna look up because Kelly just sent me a picture of them, because I gotta look up if they fit the Model Y, like if it's the same tire size.
And you were able to, I took the picture for you. You were able to make out the,
I just saw
Tire
that it was a picture of the tire. I haven't seen
if you zoom in, it says the size.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
All right. Thanks
All
again.
right, see you guys.
All right.
Have fun.
Bye.
Say hi to
dear.
Cameron for us.
All right.
All right. The one thing I wasn't thinking was that.
What?
And so what I think I'm going to do, and I was thinking of it when you were talking to commercial, I'm going to cut that piece where you talk there, and I'm going to take it back to around the middle of the show, and I'm going to drop what me and you were saying about this, and I'm going to have a picture of this on the screen. And that it'll be us talking with this on the screen instead of Cabin Coffee, but that'll be the commercial in the middle of the show.
So then do you need a good picture of this on your phone? Because
I just did.
Oh, you did.
I just did. So now we're going to go bidet. We're going to go jump around. And then after jump around, I think we do this.
So I wasn't a part of the jump around list. I didn't contribute to that at all.
I know.
That's fine.
Yeah, but
FYI.
I'm just, so here's the deal is we're going to say, like I said there, that we had a song list. We chose it. It was 98. A lot of people don't remember that it was in 98. And I'm going to say, I met people that thought it was around in the 80s, that like just their memory was jogged like so many years later. But I'm going to describe that the Penn State game, or no, I'm sorry, the Purdue game was the first game.
Drew Brees.
And the student section went nuts.
Yep.
It was like water. And then the first and only time I saw it happen, I went from the student section, and about 65,000 people in the rest of the bowl were just staring at the student section like, oh my God. But the rest of the bowl was stagnant.
Yep.
The next game, which I think we went Purdue, Michigan, and then came back for Penn State and had to beat Penn State for the Rose Bowl. When they played jump around before the fourth quarter, it was the first and only time I've ever seen it. The whole stadium
Was
just bounced. And people like to be like, oh yeah, it's crazy, whatever. You see videos of it now, and I've never found a video of that Penn State game. But I was just thinking, this is good intro. But yeah, it's different now. I can just say.
And then didn't they have to bring in engineers, structural engineers, to make sure that the old Camp Randall could? Because didn't they not want to play it for a while there? Because
They did debate stopping it. It's similar to the what is it? The beer barrel polka.
Oh,
Yeah. So we might as well mention that too.
and then the fuck you eat shit. The story I have about that is
Yeah.
that's fucking
Yeah.
hilarious.
And so you could hit on that, and then I also have the. I thought I had on here with that. Did I have that student section? T in here, and so that was on the TV, and announcers were like, "Oh, look at the student section getting into it," but you could tell they don't know what it is.
Right.
How about this for weird? Do you ever see a thing online? And I should put here. Let's put our headphones on. Did you ever see the thing online that it's like a paragraph, all jumbled up letters, and they go, "Can you read this?"
Huh.
And like nothing's spelled correctly.
Huh.
And at the end of it says, if the first letter of a word and last letter of a word
Huh.
are the correct letters,
Huh.
that certain people's mind could
your
make
brain will
out.
fill it.
And like the one time I just read the whole thing and I was like, what's wrong? Then you look back and you're like, every single word,
Huh?
like if it's just two letters in the middle that are backwards or different letters, I was amazed by that.
Yeah,
That was the day I realized I am smart. Don't listen to what people say.
when they always say only 10% of the population can read this, I sit there reading it. I'm like, that's right. It's a gold star for me. Hey, do you want to put a timer on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Timer on.
And face it towards you and just remember after jump around. You know what? Just so you know, your timer's gonna probably go off because you don't have your screen. Your screensaver is gonna pop up.
So how do I do that?
You gotta.
I'm not turning my screensaver off.
Not screensaver, but you got to go into settings and display and that display because your display.
That's fine. I'll just reach over and touch it then.
Well, if you
Maybe
want to
not.
do that or no, you're not gonna. You're gonna get too focused and display and brightness. Just remember to turn this off, otherwise.
You know, I think the bidet one would be a little funnier if we had drinks in us.
Oh, I'm sure it would be.
Because that day we were on fire.
Displaying brightness, zoom, and rise awake. Alert turn. Is it not displaying brightness? You know this is going in the intro.
Just imitating your annoying voice.
Where the all right, I don't see it in here.
Just fucking forget it.
All right.
I think a timer will stay on.
Angle it won't. It would go off with me.
Why would it? It's timer.
I don't know.
I need to know.
I don't know the answer.
If it's just going dark, I'll just go.
Yeah, you could do that if you see it going dark. Otherwise, swipe up and I don't care.
We're at 13 seconds.
All right. Let's welcome back for another episode of 217 South Mills.
Brought to you by Cabin Coffee Altoona, located at 2922 Meadowlark Lane in Altoona, Wisconsin, and also brought to you by Pizza Del Rey, our favorite pizza place in Eau Claire.
It is. That great pizza place.
And the buffet.
Oh,
Fat guy's heaven. Seriously.
We've talked about Pizza Del Rey before. Between the buffet and then not only the pizza buffet, which it's not like these other cheapo box store pizza places where the buffet is like always half empty.
Yep.
They just keep rifling out pizzas.
Yep.
And the more people that are in the restaurant, more pizzas are coming out, which as it should be. But that pizza line is always full. But then we found the Sunday brunch buffet. Holy moly. Don't go there if you want to be on a diet, but if you want a good brunch.
And they have an amazing salad bar. So if you are on a diet and you want to go there, I generally try to eat a salad first. I said I try to eat a salad first. Sometimes I am weak and I eat the pizza first, and then I disregard the salad.
I hear you.
I just do it.
I hear you. It happens. All right, in this episode, we are going to be talking back around Camp Randall and the Badgers.
Oh.
But before we get there, we want to bring up a story that occurred with us with a friend of ours. And I don't know, you want me to start? You want to start
You
it?
might as well start it.
All
I
right.
mean, and then I'll interject. But
We've all heard this word.
Yep.
We all sort of knew what it means, but it wasn't until somehow we were having a conversation and we bring up Europe and we bring up hotels and what different cities are like because this person had traveled. And all of a sudden we go, or they said to us, well, just so you understand, unless you're in a high-end hotel, in most countries in Europe, there's bidets.
Yep.
And we were like shell-shocked.
Yep.
And we're just like, what do you mean the bidets? Like the bidets we see on social media, like the electronic ones, this, that, the other. And what was just a couple things that hit us. I'm going to just say these two things. And there's a lot more we're going to get into, but I'll toss it back to you. Was one, the most disgusting thing I heard, in addition to the buffet, was that the plumbing is bad.
Mm-hmm.
In all of Europe. Plumbing is bad, is what we were told. And that we'll try and be polite in this aspect. When you go number two, and you go to wipe and clean after number two, you don't put that paper in the toilet.
No.
You put it in a garbage can or a basket next to the toilet.
Next to the toilet.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when I eat unhealthy and I wash it down with beer, the last thing I want to do is be putting the refuse
That-
paper. See, like that refuse paper.
Yeah.
How's that?
That sounds very intelligent, very clean.
Putting it in a basket next to where I'm sitting because I'm going to fill that basket. I promise you.
And then the second quick thing, and then we'll take it all back to the beginning and address every detail. The second thing, when we ask about the bidet, no, it's not like what we see on social media.
Like I have in my house.
You do have one in your house.
Yes.
It's not the electronic kind where you turn a wheel and it's electronic and gone water in the tank. No, it was described to us as a bird bath.
Like a vessel of water, like a bird bath. That they have water in there, and then you just kind of like
squat,
hang over it a little bit, and then
like
you
in, out,
and then
side to side.
I'm not sure if you're splashing the water. I just know from personal experience it's gonna require more than just a gentle splashing of water.
And our questions started coming. So now are we sitting in the bird bath?
Yes.
And then are there bird bath washcloths?
Yeah.
Are we using toilet paper again or refuse paper?
Refuse paper.
Refuse paper.
Or am I using a washcloth? And then after I'm done with the washcloth, am I putting the washcloth in the same basket as the refuse paper?
Yeah. Does that get tossed, or are they washing the washcloth?
Am I grabbing a fresh washcloth every time that I'm going in there? I have so many questions about a bidet in Europe.
And then, do they dispose when you're done? The other question: do they dispose of the washcloth, or are they literally putting this in a washing machine and then putting used but clean washcloths back on the shelf? Because I don't know. I just
And my other question: what color are the washcloths? I mean, let's
very important.
Are you going to use white? Because I promised you one.
White's out.
White is out.
Basic colors. White's out.
Yep.
That's the first one out. Yellow's out.
Nope.
Some of the middle colors, red, purple, can't be using those. I think it comes down to brown or black.
Those are the only options I could think of at this point in time.
But we even had the question, like I remember there was like a couple yeses, a couple no's when we were like toilet paper, washcloth. And did we just assume that there was a bare hand option? And we were like, are you, what? Do you remember that or no?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that conversation.
I think it was like that option of, and we go, whoa, bare hand, and then what? Like, why? Why can't we just fix the plumbing?
Well, maybe because it's such an old, continent that plumbing would be really expensive to upgrade. But I tell you, I've been to Europe. I use toilet paper every time.
Did you flush?
Yeah, I flushed.
See, I would too.
I don't know what to do with it.
I would too. I'm not putting it in a basket. Here's my thing.
I didn't know the basket was an option.
Here's my thing about the basket. Here's what upsets me about the basket is if it's in a basket, like let's say, first off, let's say room service comes at noon.
Yep.
And you have to use the bathroom at 12:30.
Yep.
Half hour, 30 minutes later.
Yep.
Now, is it going to sit in the basket? Does room service come like 6 times a day to check the baskets?
I hope so.
Because if it's at 12:30, and let's say they come at noon every single day, is it sitting in the basket for the next 23 and a half hours? Yeah. Am I sleeping through the night while in the bathroom basket? That's in there. One, in my head, I know it's in there. That's going to bother me. Two, that smell has to smell.
Your whole room is going to smell like shit.
Just think, too, if you have other people with you.
Absolutely.
Families, wives, girlfriends, what?
Or if you're traveling with a guest, like a guest couple.
Hey, how about this? What if you take kids? What do you do with diapers?
Oh.
Is it like a diaper genie? We both know that never worked.
That was the greatest hoax in the world.
It didn't keep the smell away. I think we had 2 of them. Neither one of them worked.
No, regardless of what you put in a diaper genie and you spun it and it sealed it.
Yeah. And then are we bobbing the babies in the bird bath?
I don't know. After you use it, hold on, follow me on this one. After you cleanse in the bird bath, you have to drain the water to refill it. Is that how it works, or is
that's the thing? So I do think that the person said that there's a drain. So it's like it could be drain, but then too, it's like, it just.
Then let me ask you this. This is a huge question.
Okay.
Am I reaching down into the bird bath to grab the shade? Or am I going to be able to do like we have here where I can pull it up and pull it down?
Both thinking of the same exact, like the plug, the stopper with the little beaded chain on it, pulling it out.
And my luck,
chain's not long enough to get above the water.
In my luck, I break the chain out, so I got to go elbow deep in there to grab it. I'm not doing it.
Well, how about this? Now let's get serious. So if it's a baby, we're holding them up and down. What if you're a mom? I'm just going to throw out like hypotheticals. What if you're a mom traveling with a 14-year-old husky son and you can't pick him up? Then what if you're a little person? Do they come in different sizes?
I don't know.
Like, do we have like 2 foot high, like, you know, the old school, like little practice potty toilets for kids? Do they have them down there? What if you're a shack and you go to Europe? Is his bird bath like 4.5 feet off the ground? Like, I
think for a little person, you probably could have a stool, but for Shaq, that'd be a problem.
Yeah, little people might have a ladder that you go up.
Yeah.
And it's
But what about Shaq? What about us? I have a hard time thinking, well, you're short, but I have a hard time being 6'6", thinking that I'm going to be able to lower myself into the bird bath. I'm just saying.
I understand that because we even have issues getting on and off the toilet, depending on how the backs are feeling and hips are feeling. But I am almost 6'4". But with that being said, because I'm growing, I mean, we are almost eye to eye by now. But yes, the bidet, the bird bath, everything about it, if I ever debate going to Europe, I'm going to say, what's the most expensive hotel? Because I want a bathroom that I could flush whatever I want to flush down. Or I'm going to just do what you do and just flush it down anyways.
Yeah, I just flushed. And then another thing about Europe too. So we went to Europe, me and my wife, and like nothing is for us our size. The vehicles are all tiny.
We even said the roads are tiny. The vehicles are tiny. The roads are tiny. Like
I went into the shower in a hotel, and it was the size of a coffin for a normal person.
Yeah.
I had to basically step into the shower, leave the door open, wash half of me, and then step out, rotate, not even face the shower, and then wash the other half of me because I did not fit in the freaking shower. Not only was I too tall, my shoulders, I couldn't close the door. My wife thought it was very comical that I did not fit in the shower. And it's a very small place for small people. And I had a hard time navigating it. Did not remember the bidet.
I'm sure it would have been very difficult for me with that shower, but as well. But yeah, the only thing I would look for, because of my height, but I'm tall too.
Or because...
I'm taller than like 95% of people in this country.
You couldn't close the door because your ass was in the way.
Ouch.
I mean,
ouch. Okay.
The ass has got you places. Your ass is not a bad thing.
Mrs. Ferrario said that I'm husky, and I'm a husky boy, and that's why I'm a little bit bigger.
My mom also told me that I was big boned, but then I remembered that bones don't jiggle, Bill. So let's face it. I heard those too. I was big boned. I was husky. I shop in the husky section as a kid too. So
then, how about we take the bidet to a whole new level and talk about another friend of ours, the Albanian. Yep. What did the Albanian have to say when we brought up bidet?
When we brought up bidets, they said that they had a hole outside in Albania. So that's what
shit in a hole.
Shit in a hole. I mean, it's kind of similar to shit in the woods in Wisconsin. Same thing.
You gotta think, is it like the military? Like, are you digging your own hole, or is it a pre-drilled hole like a well? Is it pre-drilled down like 40 feet? But then do you take a shit and then put like a shovel load of dirt on top just to layer it so it's layered all the way?
I think
because you got to get fumes after a while.
Well, I think here's the deal. I think I would rather dig my own hole so I can make it
than go in someone else's hole.
Yeah, I would rather dig my own hole. I can make it as wide as I want. I can make it as deep as I want.
But even that, I think there's difficulties in that because you got to think now. Let's be real. We're not just pulling the pants down like you're on the toilet. Like you got to strip down bottom.
Yeah,
you got to take the pants to take everything off.
If I did not strip down naked, I feel I would
because we're not like holding onto a tree and leaning back.
No,
we're not 17 years old.
If it's not, I can't do that, and I'd probably end up just shitting.
You'd fall down.
I would shit in my pants,
or fall down.
Or
yes,
or fall. Thinking you cleared it, and you shit in it, and So I have a bidet, and I'll tell you how I got it because I did not really understand bidets. I mean, I understood the concept, and I wasn't crazy about it. Some of our friends over at Student Transit, they were talking about the bidet that they have in their facility, and I said, okay. And he said, I have one for you. And I said, you bought me one? He's like, no, I bought an extra one, and I want you to try it. And I'm not going to lie, I hooked it up. I was skeptical. I was very skeptical about it. And the idea of a jet of stream of water at that velocity entering me made me scared. And I'm like, well, is the water going to come out of my mouth? Because that was a concern of mine. Like, holy cow. And I test fired it. And the velocity of the water that came out of there was intimidating, to say the least. And I was going, ooh. I am not quite sure that I'm ready to take this ride. However, for the show, for 217 South Mills, I took on the challenge, and I tell you, it's a wonderful experience. And I can only identify it as it's a shower in the middle of the day. And I would definitely recommend a bidet to anybody here. It's I know it sound I'm in the same boat. I can hear what you're thinking, audience here. Like gross, it's disgusting. Like I tell you, it's got a self-cleaning thing. It's amazing. I look forward to using the bidet every time I'm in my house, and I will transfer that bidet if we ever move, because that is
You're a bidet man from now on.
I am. I'm not
The
gonna lie.
U.S. version bidet.
The U.S. Yeah, not a
If either one of us go back, either one of us go to Europe, we're just doing what you did the first time. Just do it in flush.
Absolutely.
Flush it all down.
That's it.
Flush and leave. And
No one questioned me. That's okay. I was in there.
now you probably screwed the plumbing like a month later, but you're already gone. You're out of the country. What are they going to do?
Send me a bill?
Yeah.
I don't know.
They're not going to. There's no. What's that word where you can't bring somebody back from out of the country? What is that when you go to some other country with a criminal? You can't
Extradite.
Yeah, can't extradite from the U.S. for a bidet.
That's a big
For
fucking.
flush.
That was a
for
big
flush.
word there.
That was, and it was a good catch on you.
Oh,
Yeah, you're on top of it.
absolutely.
All right, we'll put the bidets to bed, the bird baths, the bidets, the garbage cans or baskets that you put refuse paper in to bed. We're going to move on to the Badger stuff in Camp Randall. First thing we're going to talk about, one of the best songs ever played at Camp Randall, House of Pain, Jump Around.
Yes.
A lot of people have confusion. I actually had a lawyer about 10 years ago. I was willing to bet my house and everything in my bank account on my side that I was correct and he was wrong versus him giving me $1. And he said House of Pain Jump Around was playing at least in the mid to late 80s, if not the early 90s. And I said, nope, it was our junior year.
Yep.
Ryan Sundrop, we called him Sonny.
Yep.
He was the one, when he got done playing, he was a tight end, went into the marketing department and came down before the season started and says, I have an idea. Before the fourth quarter, we want to play a different song. We want to change it up, try and get the crowd going a little bit more to back the team, back the defense, and gave us as a team a list of songs. And it was our 1998 football team that picked. The majority pick was House of Pain Jump Around, and that's how it came to fruition. So,
Do you remember the first time it was played?
absolutely.
Okay, well, tell us about it, Bill.
First time was Purdue in 1998. And what a lot of people remember about that game to start with, and we could go back and forth on it, it was Drew Brees' college record-setting game of all games.
I have never seen the ball thrown so much in my life. And after a while, I think Coach Alvarez says, we can bend but don't break.
Absolutely.
And that was because we knew he was going to throw the shit out of the ball, and he did.
Yeah. So he broke the attempt and completion record. And if I remember correctly, it was 84 attempts he had, and he completed 53 completions out of 84 attempts, which is sick. And I ran into one of our D coordinators. And to your point, before the game started, Coach Alvarez is like, listen, we're treating all these short passes as a run.
Good.
And that whole, like, we could give up a pass, but we're not giving up more than 4 yards or 6 yards. And we're just treating it as a run. And we'll stop them eventually. We'll get incompletions. They're going to run the ball. We'll shut that down right at the line of scrimmage. But as those attempts and completions start piling up, all of a sudden, our defensive corner or defensive back coach, Phil Elmation, he's up in the box, and Coach Elmation, a lot of people throughout college football don't always agree with them, and he's been to a lot of different teams. And I think, I don't know, this is rumors, but I think a lot of it is his mentality, thinking like, even though he's a DB's coach or the D coordinator, whatever positions he's held, that it's more his way when it needs to be the head coach's way. But we had 2 lockdown corners that we're going to get to later in Eccles and Fletcher.
Mm-hmm.
But in the fourth quarter of that game, Coach Elmation told me years after we were all done playing, I asked him, I go, what was your opinion about that game? And he goes, Billy, because we all know the D-backs coach is up in the booth every game.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Billy, after the third quarter of the game, I took the elevator down and I was on the sidelines. He goes, Coach Alvarez looked at him and he goes, what the hell are you doing down here? And I guess Phil looked at Coach Alvarez and goes, there ain't nothing more I could do up in the booth. So I want to come down here and see it firsthand. So just left the booth and like gave up coaching. That was just like, I want to watch it in person.
Right.
So when that fourth quarter started, the student section went nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like we always know the student section to do. It was like just that bounce in motion. But the rest of the stands, arguably 60,000 other people, were just staring at them in awe. You know, cheering them on maybe, but staring. Nobody was really jumping up and down. Nobody was singing along. We go from Purdue, we go on the road to Michigan, come back, we're playing Penn State, and we have to beat Penn State to go to the Rose Bowl. We got Mike Samuel at quarterback, we got Chris Chambers receiver, Nick Davis, obviously Ron Dane, and we start manhandling them. This is a game. If we hadn't talked about it, Mike Samuel, I always brag, like everybody does, toughest quarterback that I ever met. He lowered a shoulder on a 3rd and long draw and knocked LeVar Arrington out of the game, dislocated his shoulder, and LeVar to leave the game. I made sure to remind LeVar that when I played for the Redskins later on in my career. He's like, who's Mike Samuel? I'm like, Mike Samuel is the motherfucker that knocked you out of the Penn State game. That's who Mike Samuel is. But in the right before the fourth quarter of that game, when Jump Around came on, and, you know, like, I'm not trying to rip on Badger fans, but there was no game I've ever seen on TV or in person that replicated that Penn State game. Now, granted, there was a lot on the line. You know, Ron's running like crazy. You know, everybody knows he's about to be a Heisman winner. If we win the game, we go to our first Rose Bowl. And when they played House of Pain Jump Around, if there was 70,000 people in that stadium, 70,000 people were jumping up and down at the same time. And I've never seen it before. Nowadays, people are pulling out their cell phone cameras. That's the thing too. Back then, 98, people didn't have cell phone cameras. Nobody's recording stuff. Somebody might take a picture with their camera, but they're not recording. Today, it's like half the stadium wants to stand and record. Right. They're singing it and recording it. So that's why you just don't see it the way we saw it that day. Just everybody was jumping up and down.
You felt it on the turf.
You felt it, just the ground shake.
Everything shook. And I'm not sure if this is true, and someone can look this up. Somebody said that it actually will register on a seismic Richter, I don't say Richter scale, I don't even know what it is, but whatever picks up vibration.
Like, I'd say very similar to Richter scale, like an earthquake, that type of vibration.
Will pick up the Jump Around, and actually like significantly further away from the stadium than you think, like something like 2 or 3 miles, something ridiculous. You're going, holy cow, which would make sense. And if you also recall, after the first 1 or 2, they tried to shut down Jump Around because we weren't quite sure that the old girl Camp Randall was going to be able to hold up, under that kind of stress.
And they've had that. What was the song? The Beer Barrel Polka, right? Yeah. The Budweiser song. They had that back in the day where they had the Army Corps engineers come in and check the upper deck. But Jump Around was a little different reaction than Beer Barrel Polka. So there was a lot of concern about it. But I don't think Barry Alvarez was going to let that song get shut down at least after those 2 games, seeing what could happen there. You know, just like I think it's similar to Coach Alvarez with the red pants. We did not wear red pants a lot, but when we did, it was like, we need the red pants today. We need a different attitude. That one Rose Bowl, we had the red pants. I don't think there was more than 2-3 times in our whole career. And that's out of 50 games that we wore red pants. Right. Otherwise, we were white on the road, which us linemen hated because white on white makes you look bigger, or white on with red on top at home.
I agree. I'm trying to think of, it's interesting. When you're in the field, you don't think of all the things that are happening around you in the stands because you're so focused on the game. Like, you don't feel cold, you don't feel hot. You're just focused on your craft. But having friends that went to the game and family went to the game that would tell you, did you not see this? But Jump Around was one of those where it definitely caught your attention.
And it would, here's the difference too, where, and we say difference in eras, difference in teams, that what we knew, we're not going to react to it. Where teams today, they start dancing around, stuff like that.
The opposing team starts dancing around, jumping around, which is easy.
Exactly. But they know it's coming, just like we knew the Iowa locker room was pink. Yep. We knew Michigan State didn't have stalls on their bathroom doors, which if we didn't talk about that in the past, we'll address that at some point. But you know what's coming. In our years, when we played jump around, because it was invented during our years, that opposing team, they couldn't listen to their coaches. They were just standing there like shell shocked, like what is going on right now? They didn't expect it. They've never seen a stadium erupt like that. I mean, the song does it. It's just dun dun dun.
Just the opening,
and
of it.
all of a sudden, place goes absolutely insane.
If you haven't experienced it, you can't put it into words. I promise you, TV does not give it justice.
No.
It's something that is unbelievable. I still think about it.
Get chills when it happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
It's pretty unique to us. I also read or heard that it used to be like one of the top 3 traditions in college football, and I heard we dropped a little bit with jump around. So I don't know.
Yeah,
but I still think it's good.
Absolutely, can't change it.
No,
can't change it all.
All right. So another thing, the student section.
Before we hit that, we should.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sorry. Well, thanks, Bill.
No problem.
So we have a brand new drink. First time that we're launching it here is in May. It's called the Lavender Buzz.
Lavender Buzz.
The Lavender Buzz. It features our white coffee, lavender syrup, and topped with honey. So people ask me, what is white coffee? Here's what it is. I promise you it's 100% coffee, and it is not treated with chemicals. It is not bleached. It is all natural. It doesn't have that really deep roasted flavor. Some people love coffee. Some people hate it because of the way it tastes. If you like caffeine and you want an actually healthier source of caffeine other than, Red Bull or any of the other drinks that aren't great for you, and I can't rip on them because I also drank them when I was in law enforcement to stay awake. So, but this has that more of a smoother, nuttier flavor. It's got more caffeine content. And so you get a buzz from the caffeine or the buzz from the honey. You like that?
I like that
Twofold.
little
Twofold.
twist
There you
there. And I'm telling you, when you start off with that lavender buzz, I want like a bass jazz guitarist behind you playing in the background.
The lavender buzz.
All right. Well, I'll let you take it off with what you brought up before. I'll just give you the segue to what we didn't know happened inside of games. And to your point, it's like you said, you're so focused that you're like, we weren't allowed to look in the the stands.
You don't turn around.
Are there girls? Where's mom and dad? You're not allowed to do that.
No.
When you're on the sidelines, you're getting mental reps. You're trying to help guy. If you're a backup, you're trying to help the starter. You're trying to see something, trying to pick something up. You're trying to coach them up. You're running and getting the papers with the picture, or the dry erase board to help the coach get the next defense lined up.
And the last thing I ever wanted to do is if you're caught on the sideline on camera, looking in the audience, are not paying attention. Are you freaking kidding me?
You'd be running until you die.
I kept my damn helmet on. Take out my helmet.
Somebody yelling behind you, Joe! You ain't turning around.
Not turning around. Your buddies from Scranton screaming. You're not turning around.
Hell no.
Because if you get caught turning around on camera,
well, we talked about that the one episode. My buddies from Scranton got on the field, and they were standing. This was before the game started. They're standing like a foot outside of the end zone while we're doing our O-line drills, yelling Ferrario. And I'm just like, I ain't turning around. This is a big game. It's 2:30 kickoff, ABC, Ohio State. Not turning around. And Hughes was like, who the hell is that? I don't know who they are. No clue.
I think they're reading the back of my jersey. No idea who they are. Anyway, so the funny thing about the student section. So, and my mom tells me the story. If you knew my mom, this is hilarious. So, my parents did go to Madison. Like, they came down for the game. That was a big deal. Like, we didn't have a tremendous amount of money, but coming down to the Badger games was pretty unbelievable. I'm pretty sure my dad didn't like all the traffic because I heard about it. But again, I don't like traffic either, so I agree with my dad on that one. But in the stands, my mom asked me after the game, like, do you know what the student section is saying? And I said, I have no freaking idea what the student section is saying. I have no clue. And my dad kind of chopped and she's like, well, I was sitting in the stands and I was watching the student section and they were saying something and then the other section would respond to them. And I'm like, okay, it's a football game.
And I agree with you. Never knew any of this went on.
Never comprehended it.
Yep.
And she's like, so I asked your father, what they were saying because I couldn't quite make it out. And I can picture my mom and dad in the stands, and my mom leans over to ask my dad, and he's like, what are they saying? And my dad kind of gives her a weird look. He's like, well, you asked. He's like, well, that section over there
is saying, fuck you.
And it's responded by, eat shit. And it goes back and forth the entire time. And my mom goes, they are not. And then she looks at him again, and she's like, oh my gosh, they are. And my dad's like, yeah, obviously, how do you not know that? See, like, and that's something too. And if you recall, you couldn't hear it in the NCAA video games.
But there would be, yes.
But you could, there was the
Go,
chance
yes.
where you could, holy crap. And they wouldn't say the words, but you knew the tones that they were saying. And it was in the NCAA football.
Absolutely.
It was awesome.
And still never get our NIL money for that.
Yeah.
We probably should get $1 million each for that.
I agree.
But even on TV, I remember, so after I went to a game, I think before I went, some of my family told me, like, you'll never believe this. Like, during the game, they say, fuck you, eat shit back and forth. I'm like, get out of here. And I would try and pay attention. I'd try and say to myself, pay attention to listen for it. Then obviously the game starts and you're not thinking about that. But I remember after I heard it once live as a fan, and then I'd watch Badger home games that I didn't go down to in the stands as a fan, you could hear it at times on TV.
Yeah.
The funny thing when you hear it on TV, that it's quiet enough that the TV announcers either didn't understand what they were saying or just tried to play it off like, oh, the student section is saying something back and we can't really make it out. Although I'm like, my volume's only on volume 14 and I could hear, fuck you, eat shit.
Right.
Like, I don't know how you can't hear it, but if you're playing it off for your network, good for you.
I think the other funny thing too, that I believe it was another thing is my mom recalled is she's watching the game and she sees something get thrown over the top of the stadium. It works its way through, and my mom's like, oh my God, they just threw somebody over the top. And my dad's like, that wasn't a person. That was actually an inflatable penis that was being passed around the stadium, and my mom caught the last glimpse of it as something gets thrown over the top, and she thought it was a person, and my dad was there to guide her correctly into what she actually saw. So
here's another chant that the student section does. And if there's any students that sat in the student section that want to explain a little bit more, is the O sucks. Yeah. So they always go, oh, sucks.
Yep.
Why is it always section O that gets ripped on? Like, I feel like crap if I'm sitting in section O. I know that they don't get assigned seats. They just file
It's from a song. It's from a song from the 80s. Like, the whole premise of the thing is, like, the chorus is like, oh, and then they just interject the sucks. But it is from a song.
Playing an actual song.
They're actually playing a song.
Okay.
Yep.
And then when they go, oh, then they add sucks.
And then they add the sucks.
Till this day, I was confused. Like, why can't P suck or S suck or the other students?
Now we learn. See, this is how we learn. This is how we remember things.
Makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And then Sweet Caroline.
Beautiful.
That's
I asked the first time I went to a game in the stands, I go, how long they been playing this for? I go, did they just start this? And people are like, no. I go, did they play this while I was playing? They're like, yeah, every game.
Huh.
It is one, other than Jump Around, it is the favorite song that they play at Camp Randall during a football game. I never heard it once during a game. And I belt it out like crazy now at games. Like,
I agree.
You know,
just kind of
touching me, touching you.
There's Steve right there.
But beautiful song.
Yeah, he just made it weird.
We're best friends, Joe. We are best friends.
Just made it weird.
All right. So we're sort of on a lot of stuff with 98. And, we've talked a lot of offense. We did bring up Coach Alvarez, our defense. Yep. And we just sort of wanted to give our defense some props during this segment. And I think if you want, I'm going to read these stats because these stats are absolutely mind-blowing. It's based on the 99 Rose Bowl, 98 season, these stats came from. So defensive, and these are NCAA stats, not Big Ten stats. Scoring, we were number 1 in scoring in the nation. We scored 10 points a game.
Yep. That's unbelievable.
Our defense averaged 10 points a game.
Yep.
That is sick.
That is, if you think about it, how hard it is to intercept, etc. and to return the ball.
Yeah.
And interceptions is awesome.
Yeah.
But then to score points on top of that is so freaking difficult to do. But it became almost for us on offense when we were struggling and couldn't move the ball. Well, defense is going to come through for us eventually.
Fletch is going to pick 6-1,
Yeah.
or Eccles is going to get a pick, or Nick Davis is going to return one to the house. Like, that was given. If we were down like 13-6 going into half, well, we know our defense is going to pick up some points.
Yeah. It was
just
such a huge
10
thing.
points per game. Astronomical.
It is.
I almost wonder where that ranks throughout the history of defenses, because that either has to be the top or near the top. I don't think there's a defense that averaged, at least in my mind. I could be wrong. Prove me wrong if you know.
Somebody's going to prove you wrong. It comes with a list of like 2017.
Somebody will, but I want citations. I want to know where you got. I just don't want you typing in the comments like so and so this much average. You got to cite them, but 10 points is average. Rushing defense, we ranked 3rd in the country. We only averaged for the whole season giving up 89 yards.
Right.
That is sick.
That's crazy.
I mean, we used to go up against teams that like week 6 of the season, oh yeah, they were averaging 89 yards. But yeah, that's only 3 preseason games. Maybe they played a poor Indiana, poor Northwestern, and an average Illinois team. And you're like 89, that we'd bust out like 254 on them because Ron would have 3 touchdowns. Eddie Faulkner would get in. Matt Unert would get in to finish the game. And we would just put up yards. But for our defense all season long, especially with the running backs we had in the Big Ten during those late 90s, 89 yards. Total defense, number 5 in the country, only giving up 270 yards. Passing and total. 270 yards on average total. And passing alone, number 6 in the country, giving up 180 yards average per game. Just absolutely blows my mind with that defense. But let's talk about the roster. And we could
actually, we knew how good they were because we banged heads with them every freaking day.
Absolutely.
Like, that's the thing. Like, for us, it wasn't a surprise.
Yes.
Like, when you're playing in the games, and the games are easier than practice, that understand that. Yeah. Like, the Tom Burks of the world, the Chris Godorzis, the Donald Thompson. Like, I don't mean to name off roster here, but like, holy crap.
Yeah.
Like,
well, so for me, first off, to your point about the best defense we played was in practice. When I went to the combines, I don't know if I mentioned this here or on Dan's show, but when I went to the combines, they're like, what's the best defense you faced in your career? And I go, besides the Badgers? And they looked at me and they're like, what are you talking about? You've played with the Badgers the whole time. I go, but yeah, in practice is what I'm talking about. And they're like, you're saying the Badger defense in practice? I go, yeah, that's the best. They're like, all right, what's the second best? And I'd like list off this player, this team, whatever. But I'm like, yeah, so here's our 98 roster. I'll just go through it quick and then we could talk about the guys. At defensive end, we have Tom Burke. Defensive tackle, Ross Kalaji. Nose guard, Eric Malik. Defensive end, John Favre. We also had Chris Janik at nose guard too. Outside defensive end, John Favre. Oh, can't wait to talk about him. Outside linebacker, Bobby Adamoff. Inside linebacker, Donnell Thompson. Outside linebacker on the other side, Chris Godorzi. Basically, Donnell was the Mike, I believe. Cornerbacks, Mike Eccles, Jamar Fletcher. Free safety, Jason, knock him out, snoring Doring. And strong safety, we had LT, Leonard Taylor, and then Bobby Adamoff took over. Bobby Myers, I'm sorry. Bobby Myers took over later in that year. You know, like you look at that list and you just bring back memories of facing these guys in practice. It's scary.
It brings back headaches.
Yes.
Dizziness, concussions. Yeah, it brings back all those memories.
Let's start with Tom, because Tom's got a stat that me and you have talked about, that this was Tom's senior year. And he trained all offseason with this one stat. After team goals, this is the only individual stat he had, and it was to win the Big Ten sack record. Right now, me and you looked it up. So the Big Ten didn't start keeping defensive individual stats, I think, until, was it 2005 or 2011?
Right around there.
Something like that. Like early to like
mid
2000s. And there were some tremendous, and look it up, defensive ends or defensive tackles in the Big Ten. Just do it from 2005 to present. There are some phenomenal future Hall of Famers, NFL guys, and I think the most sacks they had in a season was 15. Plus, in more recent years, like as we see with Michigan just played 15 games last season. How about the year? I can't. What was the guy's name? The white DN from Michigan 2 years ago. He's playing for the Lions now. Hayden, not Hayden. I don't know. What Hutchinson? Hutchinson. His last name's Hutchinson. It's not Steve though, but it's Hutchinson.
Okay.
Dude, that guy only had, I think, 11 sacks his best year.
Right.
Like, and he's number whatever on the list. Tom Burke, 22.
22 sacks.
It's on the notes. Are you paying attention? These notes are created for you. It's right
I
there.
think I can read that.
Tom Burke, 22 sacks.
Unbelievable.
Will never happen again.
No, it won't.
I mean, talk about a beast. 22 sacks in a season. In our season that year, so that, yeah, the season he did it, we had 13 games, I think.
Huh?
No, 98, we had 12. We only had 12 games in 98. Counting the Rose Bowl was 12.
Huh.
We started with 13, we ended with 13. The 2 middle years, we played 12.
That's insane.
12 games, 22
22
sacks.
sacks. And I can tell you,
I mean, that's almost averaging 2 sacks a game.
and the guy was a freaking.
Yeah. Oh, how about in the Big Ten, during the years they were collecting records, J.J. Watt, down on the list. T.J. Watt, I think T.J.'s even lower on the list.
Right.
And the top guys at 15 with recorded, where the Big Ten records, Tom's got 22.
So why don't we go back? It isn't that far off. It's not like you're trying to record some things from like 1955.
Because the NCAA are NC assholes. That they don't do shit. Look at the shit with Ron.
Oh,
They don't want
I
to.
know.
They just don't want to do the easy thing. They don't want to. They want to do everything else to change and be diversified, except the truth and the what's right. Yeah, you should go back as far as records are.
I agree.
And it's not that if I figured out by looking up online how many sacks to confirm how many he had, you could do it as the NCAA. You pay people. You make billions of dollars a year.
Right.
But defensive tackle, we had Ross Kalaji. Ross was a Stevens Point guy.
Yep,
Just a
I played
beast.
against him in conference in high school. Fast and strong.
Yeah. I remember as a guard, did not want to try and reach block him.
No, so
Just that point, fast and strong,
Fast and
stayed
strong.
low, had
Yes.
leverage,
knew how to
had
play.
crazy grip, always had his hands
Yep.
inside. Just another great guy, had a hell of an NFL career. Nose guard, we talked about.
Now currently he's actually coach for at Stanford.
Stanford.
Yep.
Yep.
So good for him.
Nose guard, we had Eric Malik and Chris the Tank Janik.
Janik, yep.
And both those guys, like Malik was a beast. Always, Malik was one of those guys that just had a motor.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like if you stopped him at the line, he's going to block the pass.
Yep.
If you overreach him, he's going to cut you off behind and make a tackle in the backfield. Like just a motor type guy. And then Tank was one of those guys. Like I always say, Samoans are the type of people, and Tank's not Samoan, but Samoans are a type of people that if they don't want you to move them, you can't move them.
Right.
It's just something about their breed, their ethnicity, something in their blood that they have that ability. Tank was very similar to that.
Yep.
If Tank was a little bit shorter than probably an ideal NFL offensive line, but for college, I mean, played with leverage. Another strong guy, state championship
Wrestler, that's what I'm thinking.
so
Anything he played
he
wrestler.
knew how to use his hands and get your hands off of him, and was quick with his stunts up there.
Yeah, really shitty when you have a combo block on Tank and two of you can't move them. Like that kind of frustrating crap. And then you're getting your ass chewed out because you can't come off on the backer because you're both tied up on Tank.
Or you're tied up and he does the simple move we all know, drop to a knee and turn sideways.
Get skinny.
As an old lineman, when they drop to a knee, just dump them over.
Yeah.
You got 4 hands on them, just dump them.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that with Tank. He'd get through you and get in the backfield.
Yep.
Linebackers, we had Bobby Adimoff, Donnell Thompson, and Chris Dorsey. And those 3, I mean, just unreal.
Again.
Absolutely unreal. Bobby was one of those guys. I mean, you see, there's a clip, I think, where Fletch is returning one for a touchdown, and Bobby's keeping up. Like in the video, it at least appears he's foot for foot with Fletcher running in the end zone.
Absolutely.
And then Donnell and Dorsey, those guys were in our draft class, and you can't say enough about
And
them.
again, I played against Chris in high school, so I was very familiar with him, and he was a beast in high school and definitely carried that through in college.
I owe the majority. When we skipped over a guy, we'll go back to it. I owe the majority of my concussions to both Donnell Thompson and Chris Dorsey. I mean, those guys, they played linebacker a different way. And once again, we always say, and we've said in these episodes, that the game was different when we played compared to today. So those guys, yes, They covered when they had to cover, but they were not cover linebackers. We're going to stop. Our front seven is going to stop the ball, and those linebackers were included in that front seven. And man, pulling on a power, trying to get up on a zone onto the linebacker level, they just came downhill, and they had no. They weren't going to avoid you. They're not like these. Like I know even. Trying to think, even when we were playing, the Big Ten had, I think it was the weak side linebacker. I can't remember his name, but he was like definitely skinnier and lighter, but he was fast and he would avoid you. Chris Dorsey and Donnell Thompson, they came downhill and they're not going to try and put their hands on you. They're going head to head, and it's either you're going back or you got to do the same to them and try and get them to go back. It's a stalemate.
And either way, they're chewing you up, and then Donnell or whoever's free is floating over the top and stopping the run.
Yeah,
I said, had my bell rung so many times against that.
I'm going to go back to who I skipped over, who I can't even believe I skipped over. John Favre.
Yeah.
John Favre is a guy, he was our captain, one of the captains, and I'm just trying to look here. We had Bobby was a captain as well. Chris was a captain, so Donnell was a captain, just so we're not eliminating anybody that were captains. But John, you look at him. John, I think John had 4 state championships in high school. I don't know if he lost a high school game in high school. I think he won his all 4 years, never lost a game, 4 state championship wins. You look at him, doesn't look like a football player.
No.
I mean, doesn't look like, not saying I was the ideal lineman, like I am probably like a quarter of an inch shorter than the ideal lineman, but he didn't look like one. He was the guy. Here's a funny story, how we are scared to death stepping on a scale or sometimes putting your toe under the scale for the guy in front of you. Like, here, let me help him out, 5 pounds. John used to actually put 2.5 pound plates in his ruds.
Yeah, that's crazy.
On the scale. He finally got to the point where JD made everybody weigh in on their ruds so he could see if he had weights in it. Not that he made us do it because he knew we weren't, but he knew there was guys like John trying to keep his weight up, and he struggled with it. John even played our senior year, and John could reach out in the comments if he wants, if I'm wrong. I believe he had a fractured vertebrae that Coach Alvarez told us about after the season ended. And John,
Was it you that told me that he would lay down on the sideline?
Yeah.
Was that you saying that?
Our senior year, when offense was on the field, he'd be like laying down trying to heat his back or stretch his back just to be able to get back out there. And just had a motor.
Never
didn't
stopped.
stop. And, he was just intelligent about the game. I think he knew, he didn't set records in the weight room. I don't even believe he set records with speed, but he just understood so much about the game that he needed to understand. He just outworked people. So if you were going to get lazy, he's going to outwork you. If you're going to do an average technique, he's going to knock your hands down and get around the corner or make you open your hips and then cut back inside or spin back inside. Just never, ever gave up. And I got concussions against him, talking about him with playing the end and having to do a counter to his end. He ain't going to try and avoid you.
No.
He's not going to try and just brace a leg.
No.
He's coming face first, putting his nose into your nose and saying, move me.
Yep. And he's going to electrocute your ass, and just like you're trying to do to him, which is unusual. Usually defensive ends would try to sidestep you or
give you the wrong shoulder, wrong shoulder and go inside like that, but not Favs.
Yeah.
So let's move on to, we'll save corners for last. Let's move on to, we'll put Doring, LT, and Bobby Myers in the safety category. Doring was our free safety, and Strong was LT and Bobby. So Doring, another guy that
my hardest hit was
sorry,
Jason Doring electrocuted my ass in practice.
Yeah,
I came around, and I think it was on a handoff. I'm pulling around the corner. I didn't see him. I'm looking inside for a linebacker, and I remember seeing the linebacker, and all of a sudden I see the sky, and then I saw the turf, and then, he lit my ass up. I came to, and I'm looking up, and there's Jado standing over me smiling. He's like, I got you. And I'm like, yeah, you son of a bitch, you got me. And he helps me up, and I'm just like, Jesus.
Crazy.
Ring my fucking bell.
Yeah. And different eras again. We're going to keep repeating this word with this defense because, he would have to change the way he played if he was going to play in this era. We saw him and loved him for knocking guys out. Yeah. He was the type of guy that was on highlights in the morning on ESPN for top 10 hits. Like I remember a guy at Northwestern was snoring on the field after a hit from Jado. I mean, he put people to sleep and that was his job on our team.
And the way
cover that defensive backfield. And if somebody catches it or comes across the middle,
lights out. And that's the thing. Like you can't play that way now, but it was super effective when we played.
Yeah.
And I cheered him on. He was I loved watching Jado play.
Oh, we should, and we know his nickname was Jado,
Yep.
and we're going to talk about nicknames in some show. We should have called him the CPAP.
Yeah, maybe.
He's going to make guys snort.
I don't think we know what CPAPs were back then. There wasn't a thing.
We probably should have. But LT and Bobby Myers, strong safety, just LT, just a baller, fast player. Bobby Myers, really smart guy. Bobby actually, I think, went on to get into coaching, at least for a little while there. But just two great team players. Bobby, helped. Bobby came in towards the end of the season, helped us win that Rose Bowl. And then at cornerbacks. And these were two guys, Mike Eccles and Jamar Fletcher. These are the two guys on the defense side of the ball where we'll say Nick Davis is special teams, even though for points it's considered defense. These are the guys that we just expected.
Yeah.
They're going to get a pick. Not that they're going to get a pick. They're going to get a pick six.
Yeah.
And we'd say that every game. If I heard an old lineman say that, I'd slap him. Be like, you're sitting on the bench expecting a corner to get a pick six.
Yeah.
Like most teams might not have 4 picks all season long. I think Fletcher alone, I think he set the and it might have been the NCAA record. I think he had 6 pick sixes in 99.
That's crazy. 6
times he intercepted the ball and ran it back for a touchdown.
That's insane.
Hell, in 99, I think it was against Michigan State with Plaxico Burress.
Yep.
Where we think we mentioned with Coach. Coach never let our corners switch sides.
Right.
It was like Jamar was right cornerback and Mike was left cornerback. That game, Fletch asked, "I want to foul Plaxico," and Coach Alvarez was like, "All right, you want to open your mouth, put up or shut up." And he fouled him, and I think he picked him off 3 times in the same game, ran 2 of them back for touchdowns against Plaxico Burress.
Yep.
Stellar NFL guy, but can't say enough about them. And that's another thing, just to touch base with this defense. My attitude, I always give thanks because I get so many people that come up to me being like, "You were on the Badger line, you blocked for Rondane, you won 2 Rose Bowls," like giving me all this praise. And I'm like, listen, don't fret. Like, yeah, I did a lot. I had a really good guy in the backfield, but our defense, like we said right there, averaging 10 points a game.
Very
our
impressive.
defense did a lot.
Yep.
And our defense, just like our offense, definitely, and our special teams helped us win those Rose Bowls and all the games we won throughout our career. So
Absolutely.
but that defense, I wouldn't want to play with another defense.
No.
I mean, that defense is,
And I think it's super important. The toughest defense that we went against,
yes,
no matter who we played,
Yep.
was our defense.
rather go against any other defense in the Big Ten except for ours.
Yep.
It's just an easier day.
Agreed.
Especially like going back, like we've talked about seminary and we keep bringing it up
3
over and
days.
over.
Yep.
Goal line live against this defense. Where they're like, defense could do anything. Defense could tackle Ron. Defense could sack, at the time, Mike Samuel. But offense, you could do everything. Just don't cut one of the D linemen's legs.
Right.
Don't go low on their knee.
Mm-hmm.
Or 9-on-7.
Yep.
Think about that. 9-on-7. Like, it's just crazy that we went up against those guys every single day.
Yep.
And one side's going to win, and it's just a battle. Absolute battle.
Agreed. And shout out to them. They're just amazing human beings, and we're a hell of athletes. And we talk about how hard we had it on offensive line. These guys laid it out there too for us. Yeah. And like I said, definitely that camaraderie with.
And you think
teammates.
too, like when like people like us say, like iron sharpens iron, or good makes good. Like that defense made us who we were. And we helped make them better because they had to face us every day too. So it wasn't like it was a cakewalk for them. It was a battle on both sides of the ball.
Agreed.
So I think that wraps up this episode as well. I'll just leave it with, I choose a toilet without a bidet if in Europe, or I'm going to flush.
Right. I agree with that 100%. I'm going to flush regardless. I'm not putting my refuse paper in a trash can. No, I'm not doing that. And I didn't do it when I was there.
Definitely no trash can. I'm flushing.
And for all you people on the bubble about a bidet, I'm telling you, it's like a shower.
The American bidet.
The American bidet that I have. Don't come to my house and use mine. Buy your own. You can buy them on Amazon. I'm not promoting any sort of brand name.
But we should maybe promote it and like get a link in the bio or something like that.
For the bidet that
the bidet.
Yeah, well, I just attached it. I didn't keep the box. I mean, I don't remember. I don't think
maybe look underneath the hood and see if there's a serial number down there.
I'm good. I think we're okay. But anyway, I will give it a thumbs up, 2 thumbs up, because I tell you what,
2 thumbs up. And speaking of thumbs up, we have finally figured out why the thumbs up have been on our recordings, and we feel like we have it nailed. You will no longer see thumbs up or fireworks or thumbs down, and we think it's all because of the motion with our hands that we were doing it ourselves. So,
Or the motion of your nose sometimes looks like a thumb.
I mean, it could have been like, is it fireworks or is it thumbs up?
All right, folks, we're wrapping it up. We want to thank our sponsors, Cabin Coffee, Altoona, and Pizza Del Rey. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, folks.
Well, let me see how far we were on that one. That seemed long too. 53 minutes.
Shit.
50 fucking 3 minutes.
Battery still on.
Do you need anything else?